Hello learners, welcome to course Food Fundamentals and Chemistry. Myself Dr. Shalini Kushwaha, working as Assistant Professor at Indira Gandhi National Open University, and today we will learn about lipids, structure, properties and applications. This is from Block 2, Unit 8. So after studying this unit, we shall be able to state the composition and sources of lipids in nature. You can also classify lipids into various groups on the basis of their structure and properties. You can draw the basic skeletal structures of molecules, and also you can describe the role of lipids in foods and nutrition. So what are lipids? Lipids are also important constituents of food which are hydrophobic in nature, that is, water heating and do not mix with water. These consist of a group of structurally diverse molecules. Lipids, along with proteins and carbohydrates, constitute the principal structural components of all living cells. Some of these are important energy storage compounds, especially in animals and human beings. During the past few decades, role of lipids in diet has come into focus due to their connection with blood cholesterol and consequently heart diseases. They exhibit unique physical and chemical properties which play a significant role in their diverse functional properties. Lipids undergo complex chemical changes during processing, storage, and handling of foods. In order to understand these changes, it is important to learn about their types, structure, and properties. Now let's talk about the occurrence and sources. Lipids represents a heterogeneous group of substances of plants or animal origin that vary in their structure and composition. These includes a wide range of compounds like oils, fats, waxes, sex hormones, cholesterol. As mentioned, lipids are insoluble in water and identified by their solubility only in organic solvents like ether, chloroform, and benzene. Their insolubility in water is a common observation in the household while working with oil and ghee. The natural foods that contribute to the largest amount of lipids or fats are animal products like meat, milk, egg. Animals store fat in adipose tissues from which it can be extracted. Most cereals, vegetables and fruits contain very little fat. However, some of the fruits and vegetables like grain, corn, avocado and fruit palm are also rich sources of these compounds, contrary to the notation of the absence of fats in these. So here you can see the fat content of some of the foods like maize contains 3.6% fat, rice 0.6% fat, wheat 1.5% fat and wheat germ contains 7.4% fat. Likewise, milk of the buffalo contains 8.8% fat. Some plants store fats in their seeds like oil seeds and nuts. The largest sources of vegetable oils are the seeds of annual plants such as soya bean, cotton seeds, peanut, linseed, sunflower, safflower, mustard and rape seeds. Other sources of vegetable oils are the oil-bearing fruits and nuts of trees such as coconut, palm, oil palm and olive. Oil content of different vegetable oil sources varies from 18 to 68% of the total weight of the seed and nut kernel or fruit. So, oil content of few vegetables, we can see that coconut contains 65 to 68% oil, whereas cotton seed contains 18 to 20%, olive contains 25 to 30%, palm contains 45 to 50% oil, and peanut contains 45 to 50%. Then soya bean contains 80 to 20% oil. Now, moving towards classification of lipids. Lipids consist of a group of molecules having diverse structures. Food lipids are consumed in the form of visible and invisible fats. So what are visible fats? Visible fats are called so because these are the fats that can be seen by us. After these are separated from the original plant or animal sources like vegetable oils, and butter. Invisible fats are constituents of basic foods as present in milk, cheese, meat, and are consumed without being separated. On the basis of their structure, lipids are generally classified into three main classes, and these are simple lipids, complex lipids, and derived lipids. Now, let us learn first about simple lipids. Chemically, simple lipids are esters of fatty acids with alcohol. Oils and fats are common example of this class of lipids, which are the esters of long-chain fatty acids with glycerol. These esters are called triglycerides or triacylglycerol, compose one of the major food group of our diet. The triglycerides that are solid or semi-solid at room temperature are classified as fats and occur predominantly in animals. These are generally the triglycerides containing saturated fatty acids. On the other hand, the triglycerides that are liquid are called oils. These originate primarily in plants. However, triglycerides from fish are also largely oils, and these are the esters of unsaturated fatty acids with glycerol. Waxes are also simple lipids and are esters of fatty acids with long-chain monohydric alcohols. These are widely distributed in nature. For example, the leaves and fruits of many plants have waxy coating which protect them from dehydration and small predators. The feathers of birds and the fur of some animals have similar coatings which serve as a water repellent. Waxes are usually inert due to the saturated nature of the hydrocarbon chain. Carnola bay wax obtained from Carnauba palm of Brazil is an example of the tough and water-resistant wax. It contains esterified fatty dialcohols, hydroxylated fatty acids, and cinnamic acids. Rice bran obtained from milling of rice contains a wax mixed with triglycerides. Now, what are complex lipids? Complex lipids are also esters of fatty acids with alcohol. However, in addition to these two components, they contain other groups such as phosphate group or a carbohydrate moiety. Depending upon the moiety attached, this group comprises types of lipids like phospholipids. These complex lipids contain a phosphate group in addition to fatty acids and alcohol. They frequently have nitrogen containing bases and other substituents as well. Phospholipids that contain glycerol as the alcohol are known as glycerophospholipids, and those having sphingosine as the alcohol moiety are called the sphingospholipids. Now let's learn about glycolipids. These lipids contain a carbohydrate group in addition to fatty acids and an alcohol. The sugar group in glycolipids is usually galactose, though sometimes these may contain glucose. The alcohol part is either sphingosine or glycerol. Sphingolipids are derivatives of sphingosine, which has a long hydrocarbon tail and a polar domain that includes an amino group. The amino group of sphingosine can form an amide bond with the fatty acid carboxyl to yield a ceramide. A ceramide with a monosaccharide like glucose or galactose as polar head group is called cerebroside. Cerebrosides are common constituents of membranes of animals and plants. For example, galactosyl ceramide is the principal glycophospholipid in brain tissues and myelin. Some glycolipids are involved in the estegenicity of blood group determinants, while others bind to specific toxins or bacteria. Now, let's learn about the derived lipids. It is another major class of lipid. These are obtained from the complex lipids by hydrolysis and include fatty acids, glycerol, steroids, lipid-soluble vitamins, and prostaglandins. Another way of looking at derived lipid is that these are all those lipids which do not belong to the simple and complex lipid categories. As in the diagram, you can see lipids are classified as simple, complex, and derived. Simple lipids are fats, oils, and waxes. Complex like phospholipids, glycolipids and other complex lipids, and derived lipids, which are derived from simple and complex lipids. Now, what is the structure of lipids? Lipids do not have repeating monomeric units. That is, these are not polymeric in nature. Simple lipids are chemically esters of fatty acids. And what are fatty acids? Fatty acids are long chain hydrocarbon containing a terminal carboxylic group. These normally occur as their esters in natural fats and oils. However, they do occur in the unesterified form as fatty acids bound to certain proteins. Most of the fatty acids, especially those which occur in natural fats, contain an even number of carbon atoms, usually more than 14 carbon atoms, while most of the fatty acids have either 16, 18 or 20 carbon atoms. Fatty acids with lesser number of carbon atoms like 4 to 8 are present in milk fat, whereas those of intermediate chain length like 10 to 4 and between 16 to 20 carbon atoms are found in most of the animal and vegetable fats. The hydrocarbon chain of the fatty acids is either saturated, that is without any double bond, or unsaturated, that is with one or more double bonds. Respectively, these are called as saturated or unsaturated fatty acids. A fatty acids with a single double bond is called monounsaturated fatty acids or MUFA. When it contains two or more double bond, then it is called as polyunsaturated fatty acids or PUFA. MUFA is obtained primarily from plant sources such as safflower oil, canola oil, peanut oil and olive oil. Olive oil has the highest content of MUFA among most vegetable oils. MUFA is also found in olive oil, margarine, canola margarine and peanut butter. The natural sources of PUFA are nuts and seeds. Cold water fishes like salmon also contain a good amount of PUFA. Unsaturated fatty acids exhibit geometric isomerism. Geometric isomerism is depicted due to presence of one or more double bond. The orientation of two hydrogen atoms attached to the carbon atoms joined by double bond may differ. If both the hydrogens are on the same side, it is called cis isomer, and when they are on either side of double bond, a trans isomer is formed. Nearly all naturally occurring unsaturated fatty acids have a cis configuration. So, these are some saturated and unsaturated fatty acids. Like butyric acid, it is found basically in butter, caproic acid, and then palmitic acid. It is present in all animal and plant fats, stearic acid, animal fat and plant oil, arachidonic acid. It is found in groundnut oil, and oleic acid. It is present in all fats and abundant in olive oil. Linoleic acid. It is found in sunflower oil, corn oil, and linoleic acid. It is found in flaxseed, hemp seeds. Now, nomenclature of fatty acids. Fatty acids are generally named after the parent hydrocarbon by substituting OIC in place of E in the name of the hydrocarbon. For example, the fatty acid derived from octane is octanoic acid. Similarly, the unsaturated fatty acids with double bond and in enoic acid. In the complete name of the fatty acid, the number and position of unsaturation, if any, needs to be specified. For this purpose, the carbon atoms are numbered starting from the carboxyl carbon, giving it number 1. In another labeling scheme, the carbon atom adjacent to the carboxyl carbon is sometimes called as alpha carbon, the next as beta, and so on. The terminal methyl carbon is known as omega carbon or N carbon atom. For indicating the number and position of the double bonds in unsaturated fatty acids, various conventions are used. For example, delta 9 indicate a double bond between carbon atom 9 and 10 in the hydrocarbon chain. Similarly, omega 9 indicates a double bond on the 9th carbon atom counting from the omega carbon. Now, essential fatty acids. Some of the PUFAs such as linoleic and arachidonic acids are not synthesized by higher animals and men. These have to be supplied through dietary sources as they are essential for normal health and well-being of the organism. Such fatty acids are known as essential fatty acids. Two fatty acids are essential to human health. The first is omega-6 fatty acid called linoleic acid, found abundantly in safflower, corn and evening primrose oils. The second is omega-3 fatty acid called alpha-linolenic acid or LNA or ALNA. It is found abundantly in olive, flaxseed, hemp seed, walnuts, soya bean and freshly ground wheat germ. Now let's talk about the acyl glycerols. Acyl glycerols are the more abundant group of naturally occurring lipids. These are the esters of fatty acids with the trihydroxyl alcohol, that is glycerol. The reaction between fatty acid and glycerol during esterification, as you can see in the diagram. While most of the naturally occurring acylglycerols are triacylglycerols, the mono and diacylglycerols are formed as intermediates in the metabolism of lipids. Triacylglycerol from animal sources normally contain a higher percentage of saturated fatty acids and are solid at room temperature. These are generally solid while those from vegetable sources are rich in unsaturated fatty acids and remain generally in liquid form at room temperature, and these are called oils. Now what are trans fatty acids? The unsaturated fatty acids like MUFA and PUFA found in vegetable oils are generally liquid at room temperature. The liquid vegetable oils can be converted into solid or semi-solid by hydrogenation process. In this process of partial hydrogenation, the chemical structure of natural fatty acids is changed from the original cis configuration to unnatural trans configuration, and we get what is called trans fatty acids. These do not get spoiled easily and can also withstand repeating heating. This is attractive characteristic for food makers, especially for those commercially engaged in baked goods and snacks foods. However, a strong relationship is found between the consumption of trans fatty acids and heart diseases. While trans fatty acids may be classified as hydrogenated polyunsaturated fats due to their chemical structure, they generally are like saturated fats in terms of their health effects. Most margarines, vegetable shortenings, partially hydrogenated vegetable oils, deep fried chips, many fast foods, commercially available baked goods are the sources of trans fatty acid foods. Now, application in foods and nutrition. Lipids play an important role in food. They influence the texture, flavor, and aroma of food. The short-chain fatty acids obtained as breakdown products of lipids are responsible for the flavor in buttermilk and cheese. Due to immiscibility of fats in water, the former separate out from an aqueous medium on standing, that is, form two layers. Therefore, to retain the fat in aqueous medium, these need to be emulsified. In food process, monoglycerides, phosphoglycerides, and a wide range of synthetic compounds are used as emulsifiers. Thus, the texture of foods can be influenced by a mixture of fat blends and appropriate emulsifiers. Fats and oils are extensively used in cookery as a cooking medium, shortening, and as seasoning. Since fats and oils have a high boiling point as compared to water, the foods get cooked faster in fat than in water. In many preparations such as cakes, biscuits and chaklis, fats or oils are added to improve the texture. Also, the fat covers the surface of the flour particles and prevents the sticking of the particles together. From nutrition point of view, the fats and other lipids in the diet are important for their energy value. Fats have calorie content of approximately 9 kilocalorie per gram, which is high as compared to other foods. A high intake of fat is said to be responsible for a rise in blood cholesterol levels as indicated by a number of studies. It is therefore advised to substitute oils with unsaturated fatty acids for the ones with hydrogenated fat or the fat with saturated fatty acids. Lipids are considered to have a role in the satiety value of food, that is, feeling of satisfaction on consumption of food. The essential fatty acids are added to the diet through intake of foods containing fats and oils. Fat act as solvent for fat-soluble vitamins such as vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E and vitamin K. Some dietary fats have some harmful effect also. For example, some cyclic fatty acids inhibit the desaturation of stearic acid to oleic acid, and this alters membrane permeability and leads to some diseases. Some of the peroxides products of polyunsaturated fatty acids could also be toxic. Now we can also see the adulteration of fats and oils. Storage and processing causes deterioration of fats and oils. These deterioration changes are generally not intentional. However, the quality of oil gets affected due to this. Maintenance of quality of any food product is of utmost importance, keeping in mind the health benefits. Efforts are being made at the national level to maintain standards and quality of foods. Cheap oils and inedible oils are mixed in edible oils for this purpose. You might be familiar with the adulteration of mustard oil with argemone oil obtained from argemone seeds grown widely in our country. Argemone oil is not only mixed in mustard oil but also in coconut, sesame and groundnut oils. This oil is highly poisonous and causes a disease named dropsy in human beings. Another chemical, orthotriglycerine phosphate, is also used for adulteration of oils as it is insoluble in water but soluble in oils. This adulteration is a cause of permanent damage to nervous system. Some other common adulterants include petroleum products, animal fats in vanaspati and vanaspati in ghee. The Indian Prevention of Food Adulteration Act takes care of the adulteration and their prevention in all food products. Now, let us sum up what we have learned till now. Lipids belongs to a class of biomolecules that are rich in energy and give taste and flavor to foods. They occur in nature in almost all plants and animal tissues in the form of oil, waxes, steroids, hormones. Some of the plant seeds are rich sources of fats and oils, which are the most familiar type of lipids. Lipids are classified into simple, complex and derived type depending on the structure and nature of group attached to the basic moiety. Fats, oils and waxes are the common type of simple lipids. Then derived lipids are all those types that are obtained as hydrolytic products of other types. Chemically, lipids are formed by the esterification of fatty acids and glycerol. Therefore, they are called as glycerides. The triglycerides with saturated fatty acids are generally solid at room temperature and called the fat. The other one with unsaturated fatty acids are called the oils. Lipids are very important in food industry. They are used to enhance aroma, flavor and taste to many of the foods during processing. They are a good tenderizers and emulsifiers and find use in baked products. Lipids have a lot of nutritional value and they are high energy providing component of food and very important source of fat soluble vitamins. However, excessive use of saturated fats causes adverse effect on health, especially in raising the cholesterol level. Therefore, a judicious use of fats and oil in diet is recommended. So, hope you have understand about the lipids. Happy learning.